Billionaire, entrepreneur, and business magnate Richard Branson is one of the richest men in the world, and he has a lot of opinions. Recently, Singapore invited the mogul to a televised live debate after he criticized the country's use of the death penalty, and you best believe the country's pretty mad. In this video, we'll talk about why Richard refused the invitation and what the Singaporean thinks of the British entrepreneur. So let's get started. Starting with Richard Branson's refusal of the Singaporean government's invitation. While the man gives sound advice in his masterclass, it's not lost on us that his recent opinions haven't settled well with a few people across the globe. As a result, the government sought after the businessman, requesting him to join a live telecast of a debate discussing the recent death penalty in Singaporean law. Now, what happened next was something that we all probably saw coming. It's like when you've got all the opinions and advice to offer, but when you're actually asked to own up to them, you kind of chicken out and take a back seat. Sure, Richard's got a very good reason to refuse and avoid the debate altogether, but in the age of YouTube and Instagram Live, a video would have sufficed, don't you think? The 72-year-old justified himself by saying that the reason he would rather not go to Singapore is that he believes that a televised live debate cannot do the complexity of the death penalty. On paper, this sounds like a believable excuse. It's important to dabble into the conversation and talk it out, but what's all the noise for if it's not going to do anything? The invitation followed after the Virgin Group founder wrote a blog post listing his concerns surrounding the death penalty, expressing that the country's a little too strict and stubborn with their use of the law, especially for drug offenses. He added that it's a disproportionate and brutal response to the crime, and the government has no clear evidence against the poor and disadvantaged low-level drug traffickers in order to persecute them so cruelly. Yikes. Up next, so what's with all the uproar about the current death penalty? Executions in Singapore have been under scrutiny for some time now, as the country's carried forward yet another death penalty on the charge of a drug offense. The death penalty, generally speaking, is a pretty huge deal. Capital punishment's a state-sanctioned practice that's implemented when a crime is of the highest degree, but not many countries go through with them. It's because the practice has either been abolished by law or has been discontinued considering the logistic and legalities involved. According to data, 193 member states of the United Nations, along with 2 observer states, have set rules about the death penalty. 27% of them maintain the punishment in law and practice. While some permit its use for ordinary crimes, others have abolished it for all crimes except for those committed under special circumstances. As far as Singapore is concerned, they fall under the category of the countries that still carry out the punishment. Even though there was a 2-year break because of COVID-19, the country's returned to its executions, and since then, they've been riddled with controversy because of a few common denominators. The recent conviction of the Malaysian drug trafficker caught some heat, as people thought the government was purposefully singling out people for their ethnicity. Minorities everywhere, unfortunately, are reduced to less to nothing, and seeing how things are unfolding in Singapore, we can't turn a blind eye to the atrocities against them there either. Sure, there's a law in place, but the rising rates of execution on the mere charge of drug trafficking, when the punishment can be a little more humane, are just disappointing. Coming up, how did Singapore respond to Branson's claims? Now, obviously, when an outsider chips in and tells you how to run your place, you're bound to retaliate a little. And considering how Richard poured his heart out in a letter, it's understandable that Singaporean officials reached out to him. It's like they're saying, well, if you think you know so much, then why don't you give it a go? But Branson successfully dodged that bullet too, and instead steered the narrative over to local activists who should be engaging in such debates instead of an entrepreneur. Even activists agree with the billionaire, saying that the government shouldn't have gone after Branson, but instead should have given the families of death row prisoners a platform to raise their concerns. Sounds like the telecast was all about political theater and wasn't a sincere effort by the government to encourage healthy debate. As we know, Singapore's got some pretty strict anti-narcotics laws, and even after the uproar, the government maintained its stance, saying that the recent Malaysian death row prisoner, Nagaenthran, knew what he was doing and was in no way intellectually disabled. Officers say that Richard Branson has no business talking about matters in Asia, and that the West shouldn't be imposing its values on other societies. The Home Affairs Ministry also gave a little history lesson to the billionaire, saying that, in the past, the British had prosecuted 2 wars in China in the 19th century to force the people to opium imports. so technically they don't have any moral right to lecture the country on drugs. Let's take a look at the letter Richard wrote as a reply to the Home Affairs Ministry. As the officials threw the ball in Richard's court, it's almost comical to think how this war has transcended the 7 seas. In an open letter to Singapore, after their response to Branson's refusal, the British entrepreneur tried to put out the fire that he had lit. He expressed his respect for the country and its people and even applauded them for everything they've achieved as a nation over the past few decades. Richard also said that it was his respect for the country that compelled him to speak against the atrocities carried out by them, and that he's not a lone voice raising this. He pointed out that many citizens, including activists and lawyers, held the same opinion as him and have time and again expressed their concerns against capital punishment. In the letter, Branson also shared a personal story from the time his grandfather was a high court judge in the UK. He revealed that one of the biggest regrets of his grandfather's life as a prominent figure in law was donning the black cap and sentencing people to death, and that towards the end of his life, his grandfather wished that he could undo the executions he had done and strongly believed that the state has no right to kill a person, especially if they're innocent the entire time. The death penalty has since been abolished in the UK, as it was done in 1969, but it still goes to show that Richard only spoke up about it because he felt so deeply about it. Guess there's a story to everything. Moving on to the reactions of the public to this entire situation. We already know how the public feels about the death penalty. The people want the laws to be revised and toned down in their strictness. People online also have their views, and as always, there's some comic relief woven into them. Some people on Reddit said that they're not sure if Branson refused the debate because they had to go up against one person or the entire country. Another summarized the Singaporean government's response and said that the officials have discarded Richard's opinion as invalid because of a policy his country adopted 200 years ago, as if the poor guy has any control over it. Others also noticed that instead of giving the Singaporean government's activists some time, it's odd that the country's obsessed with a well-known foreigner who has no relation to Singapore. Not gonna lie, we kind of agree with the last one. Strangely, they'd be more concerned about what Richard thinks, but we guess when it's a matter of international scrutiny, they've got to step up their defense. Netizens have also engaged themselves in a debate trying to refute statements about Malaysian drug traffickers' intellectual disability. Some people believe the real narrative has been twisted, while others back up the claims by pointing out the evidence submitted in court. It's a never-ending limbo. Last but not least, what's next for Branson? From the letter, we assume that the mogul is still pretty hopeful that the officials will eventually come around and abolish the death penalty altogether. But in a world where such executions are still on the rise, even today, it's kind of hard to imagine a world with such cruel practices. Branson also finished his letter by stating that there's no evidence to support the continued existence of capital punishment and that the voices echoing such concerns deserve to be listened to and not ignored or harassed. Whatever the case, we hope the officials take into consideration the concerns the people have regarding the recent executions, and hopefully justice prevails for everyone. And that's a wrap for this video. What do you think about Richard's refusal of the invitation? What are your thoughts on the concept of the death penalty? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Until next time, see you soon.